Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be comparing and contrasting our experiences on Norwegian Cruise Line and Disney Cruise Line. So we love cruising. I don't think the ship necessarily matters all that much. We have taken a couple of Disney cruises, and a little further off we actually took a Norwegian cruise and didn't really do any video about it, but we might change that and bring some things back from it because we did do a lot of filming during that. We had lots of thoughts about the differences between these lines and we wanted to share them.
The ship and the cruise line itself doesn't really impact the fact that we love cruising, but it does kind of impact the way you vacation on different ships and what you're kind of looking for in your experience. So to some people it may matter, to others it may not.
So we're getting right into it. First off, I'm going to talk about the ships just a little bit, some of the design of the ships, as well as some of the different options that you may have. Now, Disney only has 4 cruise ships, and of those 4 cruise ships, there's 2 different classes, the classic ships and the Dream class ships. And NCL has 17 cruise ships with all sorts of different classes, kind of their main class being the Breakaway right now, which is their biggest and largest class. Both of their oldest ships are from 1998, which I thought was kind of notable, the Disney Magic being the oldest in the Disney fleet, and the Norwegian Spirit being the oldest in the Norwegian fleet. Now, as for the design of these ships, Disney does go for a much more kind of classic look with a modern but artistic twist to them.
Yes, and that actually is pretty unique to Disney among lots of cruise lines, is that classic vintage look to the ship, whereas Norwegian and most other cruise lines try to make their ships look as modern as possible.
Yes. And you can definitely see that, especially right when you board the ship. Now, most Norwegian ships now are missing kind of a classic multi-story atrium. A lot of times you end up just kind of boarding on whatever floor you're on and you just take the elevator wherever you go.
That surprised me when we entered the Norwegian ship because I had gotten so used to that Disney entrance where they announce your name and you're in this big grand entry. In Norwegian, we literally kind of just entered through a doorway and they were like, welcome. And we had to go find our way. And we had entered on, one of the ends, and I remember being just a little kind of like, not turned off, but I had to get my bearings as to where we were.
It's a little less grandeur compared to entering the Disney ships, where you walk in, you have the grand atrium with the staircase and the statue. It's a little more just kind of get on and go do what you're gonna do.
Yes, I will say the Norwegian ship we were on, I don't think we've said that yet, was the Norwegian Epic. And it was still, I was struck as soon as we walked on by it being a very beautiful, well-appointed ship.
Yes, although it does look a little funny from the outside, I think.
Oh yeah, but I was talking about the inside.
The next step usually to your embarkation is getting to your stateroom. Now, when we were on Norwegian Cruise Line, on the Norwegian Epic, we had a balcony, and this was also in the spa suites. Now, these rooms aren't particularly any bigger than one of their balcony verandas. It's just that it's in the spa area, so you got access to the thermal suite.
And I think the bedding color was slightly different.
Yeah.
But overall, it was still the same layout, shape, everything.
Yep. And then with Disney, we have stayed in both inside and on the veranda stateroom. So we'll mostly compare the veranda staterooms between the two right now. First off, big difference is the double bathroom on the Disney ships. That's something that's very uncommon among other cruise ships in general.
And it is very nice. We've both had a double bathroom and a single bathroom on Disney. The double bathroom does just give you, 2 places where you can get ready, shower, and the other person can brush their teeth, things like that. So I definitely am a fan of the double bathroom. On our Norwegian ship, I think what we had was a very unique experience. I believe the Epic has a very unique bathroom setup even compared to other Norwegian ships.
Yes, that is the reason that ship is the only ship of its class.
Yes.
Is because its bathroom situation is different. So I won't knock Norwegian for that.
And we didn't hate it, but I could see why people would hate it.
If you're not a married couple, it would be a little weird.
Exactly.
But otherwise, I thought storage on both the ships was very good. I think both of the cruises, we had like unpacked all of our things and spread them out. We had plenty of room. Both of them had very nice verandas, seating, and a little table by them.
I will say that the Norwegian stateroom, they definitely tried to get a little more kind of artsy and flowy with the design. It had a lot of curve. The bed is curved, the couch is curved, which, you know, was pretty cool looking, and it still had a great amount of storage. It had lots of kind of like unexpected hidden storage places, if I remember, and we like didn't even scratch the surface for using it, which is saying something because we were on a pretty long cruise and we had a fair amount of stuff with us.
The only other thing I do remember was there was no like USB outlets anywhere. We only had like one spot with a port. So luckily I had brought a like extender, and we also have a lot of mobile chargers that we bring with us.
Yeah, but other than that, stateroom was comfortable. I believe we enjoyed the veranda a lot. Same on Disney, we love the veranda. And overall, I'd say staterooms are pretty comparable.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously now with Disney though, you do get those Disney touches. Usually there's some sort of like concept art on the wall or some sort of art with the Disney ships, and I always really love that. And I do like kind of some of the colors that Disney goes with. I think it's a little less sterile compared to the NCL approach. So now we're gonna move on to food, and this is an area where both the cruise lines vary in their approach to food. Disney has a very unique approach, I think, compared to any other cruise line, where you do the rotational standard dining, where they have 3 different main dining rooms, and each night you, as well as your wait staff, rotates throughout those. And for Norwegian, they typically have 2 different main dining rooms, typically their Taste and the Manhattan room, and you're kind of free to go to either of them. However, you will not be getting your same wait staff with their anytime dining, and their menu will change every night, so a little less options there as for their main dining rooms.
Yes, but I will say we enjoyed the food on both Disney and Norwegian, and there was something kind of cool experiencing that main dining room, you know, going to the same place multiple nights, experiencing a different menu. I mean, that was kind of new for us compared to Disney, and I did not enjoy it.
No, I didn't mind it. I do think the food on Disney, as for main dining room experiences, was just a touch above what we found on Norwegian. Now, both of them still have a lot of those main cruise staples, like the lobster ravioli and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do find that I like Disney's main dining room food a little more, especially desserts.
Yes, I remember being a little disappointed in Norwegian desserts specifically.
Yep.
Specialty dining.
Yes, which is a whole different beast between them. Now, if you've ever cruised on Norwegian, they really want to push their specialty dining package as a way for you to kind of branch out and get some different and better quality meals, while Disney only has 1 or 2 specialty dining options, depending on if you are on the Magic or Dream class ships.
Yes, so Disney has Palo on all its ships, and then Palo and Remy on their 2 bigger ships. We can only say we've experienced Palo. We know a fair bit about Remy, I would say. And then Norwegian has too many specialty restaurants for me to even try to name.
Yes, and they will vary depending on what ship you're on. The 2 notable ones that we did were Le Bistro, which was their French restaurant, and Cagney Steakhouse, which I believe is on all of their ships.
Yes.
That's kind of their signature, like, specialty dining restaurant.
Yes, and I would say we enjoyed both of those very much. I remember Le Bistro was one of my favorite meals I had on the whole ship, and I remember you loved Cagney's.
Yes, I thought both these meals were very exceptional. Definitely the best food that we had on the entire ship.
And then if you've listened to almost any of our videos, you know we'll rave about Palo. It's a wonderful dining experience. I think the upside to Norwegian is that they just have so many more options for you to pick from as far as specialty dining. And they make it pretty accessible too. On Disney, you have to have reservations for Palo or Remy, usually pretty far ahead of time, unless you want to be very, very flexible in when you go. On Norwegian, I believe we made any dining reservations on the ship.
Yep, so we didn't really have any problems this cruise that we took making reservations. Now that could change from ship to ship.
Yeah, most Norwegian ships have this now. They have a very, very kind of advanced reservation systems where they have touch pads all over the ship, and you can use those to browse which restaurants are busy, which ones are open, which ones have reservations available, and they have so many different ones throughout the ship. They're pretty easy to find. So they make it very easy. They know a lot of people are using those dining reservations. Sometimes they throw them in as like a perk when you book. So they make it very simple to utilize them and get your value's worth out of them.
Yes. Now, comparing the quality of the food, again, we didn't try every restaurant on Norwegian, and we haven't tried Remy. The only point I will have is I constantly think about the food at Palo and how much I want to go back. And with Le Bistro or Cagney's, I don't quite have that same feeling. Now, if we were on a Norwegian cruise, I would be like, oh yeah, I'd want to try that again. But I would go on a Disney cruise just to eat at Palo multiple times.
It's a very expensive meal.
I'm okay with that. So the last thing that we'll touch on is kind of the buffet and like the quick grab areas. I found their buffets to be fairly similar. They're both kind of standard cruise buffets.
Yeah, again, you have the Disney perk of the theming around its buffet. On the Dream, it's very beach, Finding Nemo type situation, and you don't really have that kind of theming on Norwegian side. And then Disney also, you have just outside of the buffet the different little quick service windows with different types of food open throughout the day. But I would say if you're looking at just the type of food that's there, very comparable.
Yeah, I agree as well. Nothing notable for either one.
And passable. I mean, we've gone to both of those for meals and been plenty happy.
Yeah, I agree. The next thing we're going to talk about is entertainment, and this is something that I thought both cruise lines do very well at.
When we're talking about entertainment, we're kind of encompassing just like the things to do on the ship. So actual entertainment like shows and theaters and things like that. The casino, which obviously Disney does not have, but Norwegian does. And just things kind of that you can use to, fill your sea day. So some of the things that Disney has that we actually really like to do, they have their detective agency game on their Dream Class, which is technically, I think, supposed to be for kids, but as an adult, we really enjoyed doing that, and it's a very cool piece of technology that they've built in there. They have, obviously, pools, hot tubs, the deck. They have mini golf. They have trivia and games throughout the day in different areas of the ship, and we've enjoyed lots of trivia.
Yes, we have.
And then they also have just different lounges with things like different games like chess. We love going on the ship and playing chess.
We do.
Norwegian is very similar in the things they offer. They have, again, pool, hot tubs, things like that. They actually have bowling on the Epic.
Yes, a lot of their larger class ships have bowling. Some of them have things like go-karts now, and a couple other fun, get-you things. I think some have laser tag as well.
Yes, the Epic had an escape room. We had attempted to do it, but we misread instructions and were late, so we didn't get to do it. But escape rooms are cool in general. And the Epic has a casino as well, which, we're not the type of people to go out of our way to go to a casino, but we did enjoy it since it was already there. Yeah. So Disney obviously does not have a casino on it, so that's just kind of a non-point there, I guess.
So one entertainment aspect that I thought was great on both ships is their kind of theater style entertainment. Both of them have kind of their B-class shows, you know, kind of, yeah, some that were kind of like kitschy, and then Norwegian had some that I thought were just kind of like filler shows.
Yeah.
But both of them offer usually at least one Broadway style show. So on Disney, you know, it's Aladdin, Frozen, Beauty and the Beast, and Tangled. When we were on the Norwegian Epic, it was
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
Yes, honestly, this is probably one of the best like cruise shows I think we've ever seen.
It was a highlight of the cruise. He talks about how he would go on Disney again to eat at Palo. I would go on the Epic again to see that show again.
Yes, this was one of the cases too where we didn't know anything really about the show, so we were really surprised the whole time.
All I knew was it was about drag queens. That was all I knew about it, and it blew me away.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome as well, and the quality of the show was really top-notch as well for the size of their theater and what they were working with. So for both of them, I would give, you know, A+ for the show. Now we just were on the Dream and we saw Beauty and the Beast, and again, I thought their production quality was awesome. Just the things that they can do on a cruise ship now for a show are really awesome.
And the caliber, the kind of talent level of the performers that they get is very high. They're great performers.
Yeah, I agree.
I will say Norwegian is the only cruise ship where I've ever left a show. We did not get into the ballroom dancing show, so we left that one. But the other things I think we enjoyed. I remember we saw like an ABBA cover. I dragged him to see an ABBA cover band, which I really enjoyed. And I remember we saw a comedian that we loved, and even just the kind of their entertainment crew, their, you know, cruise director and her staff were hilarious and entertaining.
Yeah, I agree. One area where I think Disney does do better is kind of some of their like nighttime shows. So Norwegian doesn't really have anything to compare other than we went to like a nighttime rave type thing that they kind of like push for all ages, and it ended up being kind of weird.
It was very weird. I think we very quickly recognized how weird it was, and so we enjoyed it for being weird, and we just played it up being weird.
It was still fun though, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, we had fun because we were together and with our families, and so, you know, but it wasn't great. It could have been better.
Yeah, whereas Disney has things like Pirate Night, and their Many Days at Sea shows, where they have, you know, kind of full-on shows and entertainment, and then on kind of built into that, they have like the dance parties for the kids and whoever else wants to participate.
Kind of, I think there's a different, the difference there is those dance parties and stuff where the kids are there. It definitely feels like you're letting the kids kind of do their thing, whereas like that rave was like mostly adults there dancing and teenagers, but it was better quality. And Disney, too, entertainment-wise, you can't forget they have, like, the characters. So they have the characters at the dance party, and pirates there dancing, or Marvel characters there. And so there is, you know, a whole different entertainment segment that Disney has that Norwegian doesn't.
Yes, it's hard to compare when Disney is an entertainment company and Norwegian is a cruise line first. The only other point I have to make on entertainment is you get the fireworks, which is one of my favorite parts.
True. Yeah, the fireworks at sea are very, very cool, and definitely points to Disney for that.
I agree. So the next thing we're going to compare is adult spaces aboard all of these different ships between Disney and Norwegian. This is actually an area where I think Disney blows Norwegian out of the water, which I don't think people would necessarily expect when you're trying to choose between Norwegian or Disney Cruise Line.
I would agree. I think that is an unexpected result, and I could see why that happens, though. So I know our experience on Norwegian, definitely without a doubt, more adults on Norwegian than there were on Disney ratio-wise. First perspective, we were on a Norwegian Mediterranean cruise, so there definitely were kids on the ship, but I think more adults and, you know, because of that itinerary. Regardless, I think this would have happened no matter where the ship was. But the adult areas, especially during the day, were like packed.
Yeah, so their like main adult pool area is called H2O. I believe it's this on most of their ships. It's at the aft of the ship. We just found it to be kind of stuffy, uncomfortable, and not a great place to just like hang out. It was always kind of loud too.
Yes.
Only thing that was cool was they do typically play like movies there, which is cool.
Yeah, I remember we went there once or twice to kind of give it a chance, and it was just always so crowded. We saw honestly some of the worst behavior of guests in that area that we don't need to go into here, but it was not relaxing, and I think we very much, you know, like being on cruise ships for that relaxing aspect.
Yes. Whereas with Disney, I think their adult areas are awesome. They typically have nicer chairs there, typically padded. On the Dream Class ships, you get the Satellite Falls, and that area is just quiet. It's usually pretty empty. Either way, they have a ton of chairs across the whole like top area there for you. It's really nice. So the other side of this is kind of the bars. Both of the ships have a lot of different bar options. However, I think Disney again outshines it with its kind of
Theming of the bars?
the theming of the bars. What do they call their?
Oh, they have adult like districts, neighborhoods.
Yeah, so they call, I think on the Dream ship it's called the District. They usually have a couple really nice themed bars that are just really cool to hang out in. You know, we specifically love a bar called Skyline on the Dream Class ships.
Yes, and I think what's cool about Disney is they kind of put all of their adult areas kind of together. Again, because it's that family ship, they want it to be, you know, comfortable for families to bring their kids, and the kids can kind of roam around. This kind of puts the adult area off by itself, which is nice because you don't have to worry about the kids, you know, ending up somewhere where they're not supposed to be. Not because they would get into any trouble, but then because there would have to be cast members going like, hey, you're not supposed to be here, kind of like stops that from happening and stops the kids from interrupting the adults.
But overall, I just think the theming of these bars are way nicer. Even outside of the adult districts, you have bars like Meridian, which is just like a very nice like upscale travel theme bar. Mm-hmm. Whereas with Norwegian, I feel like all of their bars, regardless of theming, were just
kind of ended up being the same thing. Yeah. They do have several. They're spread out throughout the ship. And then Norwegian, much like when I went on Royal, I noticed this too, has a few more areas just kind of randomly throughout the ship where you can get drinks that aren't really like a specified lounge bar. And Disney has a couple of those too. It's not quite as many, I think. Disney, I mean, you again, it comes in with this, they're the entertainment company, and they like to create these stories and these narratives in their spaces, and that goes to their adult areas as well. So if you're a Disney fan and you like that aspect of the ship and of the parks and of, you know, all those things, it carries through. One thing to note as well is that Norwegian, like a lot of cruise lines, offers a beverage package where you can, you know, pre-purchase ahead of time, and it'll include kind of your baseline drinks, cocktails, certain wines, certain beers, and you just kind of show your room key and you can get whatever you like. Disney, everything like that is a la carte. They don't offer any kind of all-you-can-drink package. Again, goes along with that family aspect, but especially if you're like a moderate level consumer of drinks, it usually comes out to about the same unless you get like a free drink package added to your deal. But it does make it a little bit easier to consume more alcohol, I would say, on the Epic. I probably would use it if Disney had it. Now,
one benefit to Disney not having it is their actual price per drink is much lower compared to other cruise lines, which is nice. I don't really see this as a pro or con either way because of that. Now, if you're going on a spring break cruise and what you want to do is drink, then yeah, I might push you towards Norwegian for that.
But I will say, on both sides, just like you said, we've enjoyed ourselves, as much as we could both ways. I will say too, I'm going to throw this in at the end of our bar lounge segment. The Disney bars have, I think, more unique drinks.
I agree.
Yes, and more kind of specialty cocktails to try. Norwegian has great things, but they're very, basic kind of cocktails you can find everywhere.
So the next thing I want to move into is service, and this is where I think there's another pretty big difference. At least on the cruise that we took on Norwegian, I think Disney service is way better all around. Firstly, stateroom attendance. We had multiple occasions on Norwegian where our room was either never serviced or we never got our turn down service at the end of the evening. And this was multiple occasions, and they even have like a dial outside the room where you can say like, oh, we're out, like service our room, or no, we're in.
Which I do like that they have that, but it didn't seem to make a difference.
Yeah, so we were definitely a little disappointed in that.
Yeah.
Whereas with Disney, I don't think we've ever had a problem with our room, not being serviced or not being timely.
No, and I can't remember if this happened on Norwegian, but I know it happens every time on Disney, is the stateroom steward goes out of their way to meet you and introduce themselves and let them know, like, whatever you need, let me know. And I can't remember which cruise it was we were on, and we just kind of kept missing our stateroom steward. I think it was like the third day we finally actually saw him. He's like, I could never find you, and he was so friendly. Just not the same level of kind of effort to put themselves out there on Norwegian. We also actually had a guest service issue on Norwegian, and while they eventually fixed the problem we had, I will say that I don't think there was any kind of like guest recovery for the inconvenience that we had.
No.
Which, if that had happened on Disney, would not have happened. Like, they would have done something.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the biggest points I had, where we basically wasted 2 hours going back and forth between guest services, having to walk down, having to call, because we were basically locked out of our room.
Getting told multiple things, and then getting told that the thing we were told was wrong, and then getting told that the new thing we were told. It really, luckily 2 hours out of 7 days isn't terrible, but we much would have rather been enjoying our vacation.
It was enough to definitely be worth mentioning here.
Yes.
In as much detail as we did.
Yeah.
I found food-wise, typically service was pretty good. Only thing with Norwegian is if you're in the main dining rooms, occasionally they may try to like upsell you some sort of random merchandise.
Oh yes, I forgot about that. They always like have little wine gadgets and little things that they'll walk around, and they do kind of give you a sales pitch, which I find very annoying when I'm already on a vacation. But I do remember that, and I remember not quite enjoying that, because we're the type of people who we won't be like, no, go away. We'll be like, all right, give us your sales pitch, but we're not gonna buy it. So it wastes our time a little bit.
So one thing I will mention that is a huge plus for NCL is because they have so many ships. They have so many more itineraries to choose from. They go out of so many more ports. You get options like Australia, even some like Asian market options as well. So that's definitely a big plus for them. They have 2 different ships that go out of Alaska and a ship completely dedicated to Hawaii. So if you're looking for lots of options, that's definitely a reason why you may want to go towards Norwegian.
Yeah, it would definitely be easier to find a cruise that interests you at almost probably any time during the year. Whereas with Disney, they offer a lot of different locations, but very limited points during the year if you want something very specific.
Yep.
We kind of have to plan our year around which cruise we want to take, as opposed to just, here's our vacation week, let's find a cruise. So yeah. That's true.
And the last thing we're going to talk about is pricing. Now, we won't get into the nitty-gritty of this, but if you're watching this, you probably already know that Disney cruises tend to be quite a bit more pricier than Norwegian cruises. However, I have found that with Norwegian, they will typically try to maybe nickel and dime you a little more, you know, to get that beverage package, to get that premium this or premium that. Whereas Disney, you know, things like soda are included.
Disney has great room service that's included, the soda, overall food, I think food availability, snacks, things like that, movies on demand, lots of things that you can get with Disney. Oh, the in-room television options are much better with Disney than Norwegian. We watch the same movies multiple times on the Norwegian channel.
Whereas with Norwegian, you're definitely much more likely to get a better deal. You'll always pay less for a very similar itinerary on Norwegian, given you're looking at very similar staterooms and such.
Yeah, and exactly what you said, the nickel and diming, they have that casino there, which I'm sure makes them a lot of money.
So with that, there's a lot of reasons that you may love Norwegian. Now with that price difference and kind of all the different pros and cons that we talked about, we do personally tend to go towards Disney, just because we like that extra service, we like the food, we like the, you know, kind of overhauled adult theming.
Yeah, Disney is definitely our favorite. I think that's no surprise to anyone. But I'll say, like, we have a credit to use towards a Norwegian cruise coming up, and we're excited to use it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely excited to be able to go and experience another cruise line again, get to experience a new ship for sure. I do always love that, and I did enjoy Norwegian Cruise Line overall. Like I said, we're gonna sail them again for sure.
Yes, we would honestly, we would recommend both. You know, this video is more about kind of like where to put your expectations, I think, and just our experiences, but I think they both lend to a great vacation.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's gonna do it. Now, if you guys are planning a cruise or hoping to plan a cruise anytime soon, given our current scenario, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And then let us know between these two cruise lines or another cruise line, what are you planning to book and who are you looking at right now as your top contender for your next cruise?
Yeah, and let us know who your favorite cruise line is and some of the reasons why. We are in no way limited to just these two cruise lines. We'd love to try all of them.
Yes.
I think there's hundreds of cruise lines, so we have plenty of time.
Absolutely. But thanks again, guys. See ya.
Bye.